There's one man who's considered the architect of the Holocaust. Specifically, they consider him responsible for the actual extermination of the Jews. And this man was named Reinhard Heydrich.
Vorführen durch eigene Arbeit, durch eigenen Fleiß, eigene Entschlossenheit, eigenen Trotz, eigene Beharrlichkeit, dann werden wir...
Eventually, he became so powerful that he was targeted for assassination by the Allied forces. And the reason why that's so important here is because he was actually assassinated near here in Prague. Here we have Stella as the driver, and we have Puja as Heydrich. Okay, so Puja is the evil Nazi. Okay, and so we have Alana here, she's Gap Chick, and we have Vanessa, who is Kubis. All right, and these are two assassins. Okay, and so what happened was that these two assassins, Gap Chick, starts firing on Heydrich with a machine gun. However, her machine gun malfunctions for some reason. Heydrich tells her driver instead to stop. He takes out his pistol and starts firing at the assassin. The other assassin throws a bomb into the car. However, Heydrich gets out of his car, and he doesn't appear to be seriously injured from the bomb attack, which is somewhat unusual. So he gets out of his car and starts chasing after Gatchik. But due to the bomb explosion, Heydrich develops shock and eventually collapses.
On the 27th of May 1942, an attempt was made on the life of acting Reichsprotector Heydrich. A reward of 10 million crowns is offered for apprehending the assassins. Whoever harbors or assists the assassins or has knowledge of their persons or whereabouts and fails to report this information will be shot together with his family. Martial law is hereby declared throughout the area of the Oberland.
It's a difficult thing to imagine people doing these things to one another. Makes you wonder if it could happen to you. What's the worst thing you'd do to stay alive?
Go to a typical concentration camp, you had a high likelihood of death, but not part of the systematic murder that would later take place. You would die from overwork, you would die from malnutrition, die from torture. It was a place to incarcerate people over and above the normal German prison system and criminal justice system.
I've never felt such emotion from simply visiting a place. Trazen was the most depressing place I have ever been.
I think going to a concentration camp was the experience that had the greatest impact on me. It was like the most moving. Like when we went to the execution grounds and you could see like on the wall where they had been, or like where they had shot. And I don't know, I just kept like imagining like, you know, the people there, and they were like somebody's mother, somebody's father, even their children, you know, and they were they died there, so many people.
Yeah, this is a big contrast. I mean, last week we were seeing palaces and famous artwork.
Yeah.
And that filled us with that's like the pinnacle of culture and of human achievement. And then all of a sudden we see humans at like their lowest, most depraved. Yeah. And at the same time, it's that feeling that could happen to anyone.
The once crowded cell blocks were eerie in their emptiness, and I felt shivers go down my spine when we were walking through the tunnel leading to the execution grounds. The place is quiet now, and there's no visible evidence of the crimes that took place there, but there's still an air of desolation about the place that effectively dampens the spirit.
My prevalent thought was, what was it like to have lived here? What was it like to have walked down these little alleys, to have been pushed here, to have been imprisoned here, to have missed your mom here or your dad, you know, to have heard shots and not known what they were about. You know, what was it like to eat here? What was it like to sleep in the cold and to go to the bathroom when there's only one bathroom?
I prefer places that aren't restored. I prefer places that are as they were when those events happened. You could feel it because you can see the conditions that they lived in. It wasn't prettied up for tourists. It wasn't, you know, made into a gallery. I felt like I made a connection with the place because of the way it looked.
The bunk bed barracks in several of the rooms. I had seen these in documentaries, holding piles of people. Here they were. They were real. The reality of this place sunk in, and I felt miserable, angry, and ashamed.
When I was in one of the cabins, I had gone up and touched the bed, and I swear I felt a shock. I didn't think that I would ever be in such a place where so many people had to rest on that bed that would eventually be tortured or be starved. It was having known the inhumane nature of what went on in those places gave me that much more grievance and that much more discontent with history in that particular area. I'm not sure how to phrase this.
I walked along the graves, covered with small stones, a Jewish tradition to honor the dead, and searched for names that I recognized. Some gravestones only had numbers. Here I snapped a picture of a numbered grave, and I felt like a coroner. All I could see here was death.
Like there was doctors, a lot of authors, artists. There was composers. I think like 2 composers that died like in that camp.
Yeah.
And that to me was just such a shame.
Yeah. And all for like, you know what?
All for what? Yeah.
Yesterday we went to go visit the old new synagogue in the Jewish quarter here in Prague. And I think it really was the perfect place to go after we visited the concentration camp in Terezin.
We saw the Holocaust Memorial, which I remember from Buckman's class. It was rather sobering.
The books that are there are backwards just to symbolize how backwards Nazism was. The years of persecution and the years of suffering and the millions who have died for their faith, it makes me very proud of them and their faith.